Now, relying on textual evidence I addressed in the previous lecture, let us outline some basic trends of Second Temple Jewish thought which distinguish it from the earlier biblical period. I strongly recommend to you to read the article by David Flusser on Judaism in the Second Temple period on the site, which discusses the peculiarities of the Second Temple period Jewish outlook in detail. Here I limit myself to highlighting some major features that can be derived from our sources. Naturally, my preference will be for those tendencies which promise to be relevant for our discussion of early Christianity. First, its canonical outlook. We have already discussed this tendency characteristic of a post-biblical period, when the prophecy is perceived as belonging to a bygone era. The Old Scripture have already acquired the canonical status as representing the full picture of God's revelation. Thus, new texts are provided with a pseudepigraphic umbrella, ascribing them to biblical figures of the distant past. Hope for return of the prophecy is reserved to dreams of redemption. Second, sacred status of biblical writings engenders genre of interpretation to flourish. It is interpretation that allows old texts to retain their actuality in new realities and new cultural contexts. And it is interpretation which adjusts old laws and regulations. Philo in the Hellenistic world is the outstanding example of creating a large number of commentaries, mostly of the Torah. He interprets the Torah's laws in terms of allegory, meaning as directed at our inner thoughts and intentions. He also views Torah's basic religious ideas as harmonious with those of Greek philosophy. The genre of interpretation developed in the land of Israel too, both at Qumran and among proto-rabbinic circles, but with different guiding principles. We will repeatedly address these traditions later. 3. Another characteristic feature of the period was existence of distinctive groups or sects which came into being as a reaction to the Hasmonean revolt in mid-2nd century before Common Era. It stands to reason that earlier periods also saw disagreements between various strata of the people of Israel. However, the groups of late Second Temple period seem to have had a well-defined sectarian awareness, creating distinctive sets of belief, what I previously called Judaism in plural. 4. Beyond the division into various Land of Israel groups, there was the great cultural divide, which I already mentioned, between the Land of Israel and Hellenistic Jewry, with the latter expressing its religious ideas orally and in writing in Greek. 5. Angelology, the great interest in the heavenly host. In its struggle for establishing the belief in one God, the Hebrew Bible mostly suppressed the motifs indicating a plurality of deities, and even those dealing with angels, those secondary heavenly figures. One might safely suppose that the belief in angels continued to exist in popular imagination, but at least in the written documents from the biblical period, their presence is played down. Late Second Temple period witnessed the comeback of angels, who were now featured prominently in such compositions as Jubilees or Enoch literature. One of possible explanations to this comeback could be the accumulated pessimism with regard to possibility of redemption of our existence by our own efforts and transferring the hope to the intervention from the heavenly realm. We will discuss the importance of this change to better understanding of some early Christian beliefs. 6. Apocalypticism, or an emphasis on heavenly secrets, usually revealed by angels, may be likewise viewed as a reaction to accumulated disappointments with the regular course of events, both in life of the nation and in that of an individual. This mundane existence, with the just suffering and the evil ones enjoying all comfort, seems to contradict the terms of the covenant made with God. Hence an escape to the realm of heavenly mysteries. 7. Finally, And similarly again, as a response to disappointments with history, the Second Temple period witnessed an upsurge of eschatological expectations, meaning dreams of the final redemption to occur at the very end of history or even beyond it. This tendency also included hopes for appearance of a messianic figure or figures who would act as agents of that final salvation. Sometimes the messianic dream was collated with emphasis on angels, and then the Messiah himself was seen as a heavenly, angelic figure.